into detail. On the panel here with me this morning is Michael Edison, who probably many of you know, very familiar with obviously the NC 3560 and the report capability. Garrett Saline is also on the panel, as actually the organizer of the webinar, and Garrett will be handling questions, at the end. Again, we're gonna allow for lots of time for questions. So just to go ahead and begin then, I guess. So we are on time here. Again, thank you for joining this morning. And the topic that we're going to cover this morning are the user reports and report portal available on the NC 3560 gateway. Now, user reports, many of you may already know about because it's built into the latest releases of the NC 3560 gateway. The report portal is something new, and we're launching that actually within 1 to 2 weeks. And we're already talking to a lot of people about it. And so the two work hand in hand. Again, the user reports is built into the gateway, and it gives you up to 2 months of data. And that data can be currently in the gateway exported. We'll show you how to do that. You can export it up as raw data to a TFTP server, and that you can do already, and that's built in for free. If you want to run your own TFTP server, or you want to talk to us about hosting that data, that raw data, we can do that. The report portal is basically it's a similar interface that you get with the user report. It gives you the capability to monitor lots of gateways, multiple gateways, and over extended duration, really unlimited in terms of how much you can store. So you're no longer limited by the 2 months of storage, because it's all being stored externally, and yet you're getting the same interface that you get now. So if you like the interface now and you're using the user report, you may want to take a serious look at the report portal. Just first of all, as a way of extending your data, beyond 2 months. And then secondly, if you have a few units out there, if you have lots of units, it may make a lot of sense for you to have all that centralized and accessible. So those are the two topics we're going to cover. And if anybody is having issues hearing, or any want me to speak up, just feel free to type that into the chat window that you should have in the lower right there of your control screen. Okay, so moving right along, what I'm going to do now is get into a user report. And this user report is provided courtesy of Don Rogers of the Heritage RV Park in Augusta, Georgia. So we thank Don for letting us look at an actual unit with lots of users on it, lots of data. We felt that would be really instructive here, for a demonstration to look at a live site where you've got a lot of real data in there. So again, thanks to Don from the Heritage RV Park in Augusta, Georgia. So what we're looking at here is the subscriber session report, the user report that's built into the NC 3560 latest versions. If you have some of the first releases of the NC 3560, you wouldn't see this, so it would be a good time to look at upgrading if you are interested in this report. So what we see here is we're looking at a daily report. We're looking at each day for the past week. There's also a weekly report and a monthly report available, again, up to the current month and the previous month is what you can store on the 3560. And again, that can all be exported if you need more. So let's take a look here at what you might use the report portal for. I mean, obviously, the first things that jump out at you are the amount of traffic. So you can look at traffic trends. You can look at whether you feel like you need to take a look at the bandwidth that you have available based on the amount of traffic that is being consumed on the network. You can look at transmit and receive. Now, transmit is comparing transmit and receive, normally, as you'd expect, you're going to have a lot more receive than transmit, as you see here, because because users are downloading more than they're uploading. So on an aggregate basis, any typical network that we ever look at, you're going to see similar numbers where most of my traffic is again, this is user receiving the traffic. So most of it's download, web browsing, video streaming, that kind of thing. Now what you might look at, if you go and drill in, say, on some users, you might want to look at, particular users that are, and what they're doing. Are they receiving more or transmitting more? So let's take a look at this, and let's just sort, for example, on particular users. Now what I see, again, I see most users are receiving a lot more. That looks good. But if I saw a case where I had a user that was transmitting for more than receiving, I might want to look at that user. Potentially it was a large file that was uploaded, but it could potentially be a file share or a virus on the network. And if I go back to the report, again, let me look at some particular devices as well. And we're viewing all this remotely, so that explains some of the delay in this coming up. And let's take a look at hosts. Maybe there's a busy day right there, September 25th. And taking a look here. Okay, so I've got all the hosts by MAC address. And go ahead and sort by traffic. And I can look at it this way as well. So here's actually one that's interesting because we see a host where there's more transmit than receive, if I'm correct there. Yeah, about 3 times more. So that's kind of an interesting pattern, and something you might want to take a look at. The other ones here look more normal. Here's one where you've got like double the upload than the download. Others look like typical web browsers. So again, wouldn't necessarily mean that's a problem, but it could have just been one large file. But if it continues over a long-term basis, we would feel like you might want to take a look at that host and what's going on. Could potentially be a virus or some file sharing or spamming activity. So that's one really useful thing you can do with the user report that's built into the 3560. And again, we can look at trends, daily, monthly, just to show you again. What you're getting is within the report on the 3560. You're getting the current month and the previous month. So that's all the space we have for you there. Beyond that, a couple ways to go. We'll show those here briefly. So that's pretty much it. Again, in terms of how to use this, I think a lot of it comes down to how you're running your networks, how you want to use the data, how you want to monitor it. This is all exportable to Excel, CSV, so you could run reports and visuals and so forth if you want to do that. But currently, we're providing all the data here. I should mention, there's one question that comes up is about the data and when it gets reported. So this is important to know if you're using the report for the first time. The data is reported when the sessions terminate. So if you just enable this feature and you got it, say, for the first day, you may not see a lot of data, or you don't see the data you expect because it's going to be reported when the user sessions are terminating, and that could be due to a reboot, the gateway, or just idle timeout. Is more typically it's when the users time out and leave, and then the session data is reported. So that's a key thing to know, and that question does come up from time to time. So that's a good overview of the user report. Let me show you in terms of how you would export that currently. Oops. Okay. I think hopefully that'll come back. Or we'll go hit this other one. Tends to happen during live demos. Okay, so let's take a look at how you would export this data. Okay, you go to the management screen, you go to report, and this is sort of the simple way to export it. You can set an upload schedule right here. We can go ahead and specify a TFTP server, and then you can go ahead and export that data. And again, that's available today. All you need a TFTP server. We provide hosting of that data if you want. It's that particular service is very affordable because we're just providing storage, and then you can go and FTP those reports off. And it's pretty much as simple as that. You would be getting the raw data there. There wouldn't be any kind of interface into that data, but again, it's just included. And then we also provide the same thing for a connection log. And what the connection log is doing is that's giving you a detail of every session that's on the network, and so different than the report, which is more the aggregate data. The connection log is showing you every user session, the port, the source IP, the destination IP. It meets the CALIA standard that a lot of people have to comply with. So if you've heard about CALIA or you're familiar with it, it's basically the standard for law enforcement, and you can look it up, Google it and look it up. But it's becoming more of a requirement for a lot of public sites. I know some countries have a CALIA standard. I know Ireland, for example, has sort of a requirement that's sort of like CALIA. In the U.S., it's become I think more and more of a standard, something hotels are asking for or will be asking for, and basically just keeping track of sessions. It can also be used for just responding to the recording, the file sharing warnings, recording industry. If you ever get a warning of an illegal file download activity, you can go into this connection log, and you can look at the timestamp and the IP address, and basically identify the user, that the offending user, and kick them off the network and terminate them from the network. So that's another common use of the connection log. And again, you just enable it here. This is a really simple interface. Enable or check the packet types you want to monitor, the TFTP server, the log schedule, and then it's going to go ahead and upload that raw data in a CSV format. Okay, so that's pretty much the overview of the user reporting and the connection logging that's built into the 3560. Okay, so let me go ahead and show now, moving to the report portal. So this basically takes everything a layer up now. What we're looking at is, let's start over here with, and this is all, by the way, this is all simulated data. So this is typically how you would look at the data if you had maybe 40, 50 sites. So we have all our sites over here, and we can name them whatever they want. And currently we're looking at this Alexandria site, and as we can see here, we're looking at a year's worth of data that's stored. It's a similar format to what we see in the user report that's built in. We're looking at 1 year of data. Again, hosts, users, logins, transmit, receive bytes total. So if we want to drill in on May this year, showing us all the user IDs, the IP address, MAC address, login time. Again, we can sort by the transmit or receive bytes, total bytes. And what this is going to be useful for now is long-term trends. So if you want to take a look at particular sites, look at one over here. Austin, let's look at the monthly data. So I want to look at, what's going on with my traffic over the last year. Has it doubled? Is it less? Is it more? I mean, typically the numbers are going to be going up these days. It might be a good opportunity to sit down with your customer or whoever's planning the bandwidth on the network and say, we might want to look at more bandwidth because we're triple what we were a year ago. And oh, by the way, that correlates with people, users complaining about slow internet. So it would give you a lot of data that you can get your fingertips on here. And so again, in terms of comparing that to what you get in a user report in the gateway, you're getting long-term storage. So that's the first thing you're getting. The second thing is the ability to look at the multiple sites over here. Now the third thing that you get now by getting the report portal is you can actually drill in on a user. And now you're going to get the connection log data. So again, the connection log data that we showed earlier that is exportable to CSV, that's built into the report portal. So for this particular user, Emily, I'm getting all the information that the connection log provides me: source port, destination port. You can take a look at maybe unusual port activity there that can be helpful in identifying file sharers and destination IP. So that's basically what the report portal does. In addition to the longer-term storage and the multiple sites, is it sort of brings together the connection log and the user report into one interface. And then out of here, I can export it to CSV. Okay, so that's basically, and then basically at that point, it's how good are you with Excel? Running additional reports, crunching the numbers with data, and so forth. So that's basically what we're offering in the very first release of the report portal. Now the report portal is going to have additional functionality that we're adding. We're looking at pie charts, bar graphs, the obvious visual things that people want. So taking all this data and putting it into a bar graph format, so I can look at traffic over the past 12 months and so forth. And the other thing is sorting. The obvious thing is sorting by total bandwidth, sorting my sites by total bandwidth. So I can basically, in a quick view, see which one of my sites have the most bandwidth and the ones that have the least. So that's more capability that we'll be providing in a later release of the report portal. And I think that provides a pretty good overview of what we're doing here. So Michael, I know you're on there. If you want to comment, be a good opportunity for Michael to sort of jump in on any additional things you want to mention, Michael, that I've missed.
No, I think that's pretty good. I think it's pretty good coverage. I mean, I would say what you just showed here at the end is probably one of the most powerful features of really being able to combine the session logs that show every TCP connection along with the usage logs. And this is what would really allow you to go in and, if you did have something like a CALIA request, or you had some problem, with a copyright, notice, you could really go in and hone in on an exact user, an exact session, and basically find out, exactly what's going on your network. So this definitely gives you a powerful tool to really control your network traffic and be able to monitor it. And then on a larger scale, just being able to manage your overall, network of multiple sites, just to, track usage. And that can be helpful, especially if you have customers who are paying you to monitor, their own sites. It gives you an easy way to give them detailed, reports of exactly what's happening at the site and who their big users are. So yeah, Dave, I don't know if you want to open it up for if there's any questions about any, technical details on any of these features, either on the hosted report system or on the the reports that are generated by individual controller gateways. We could cover either one.
Yeah, we can definitely open it up to questions. And yeah, just to elaborate on what Michael was talking about with the CALIA, the ones we've seen, and you guys, those of you attending are probably the most familiar with these. If you have gotten warnings, ISP warning, typically they come from the ISP, and the ISP is responding to something they're getting from an authority, one of the authorities. So I believe, and we could handle this through the question period, but I believe they give you a timestamp. They've probably got the they have the IP address. They have definitely the content is identified. I think we've seen a couple of these, and so it gives you the information you need to then go back and track. You might do it by doing the CSV export and having all that data available in an Excel file, and then just sort of searching through the Excel file. So if you're looking for that type of thing, so I want to identify the user that downloaded this offending content, the information is there. I think it starts with the timestamp, the IP address, and then you go and probably just going to search through the Excel file. Is that right, Michael?
No, you should be able to find it using this filter.
Oh, okay.
Because
So
they
right
would give you the
filter.
exact time, and they would give you the port, and by searching on those, you could find the exact transaction. And the reason why that's important is that when it comes down to liability, you have to be able to show to be covered under the safe harbor for copyright violation. You have to be able to show that it was a user of your network that you were providing service to that was sharing the file. If you can't show that, then you're liable. And that's why that ISP sends you that message, because they've already identified you, as the user or system that downloaded the file. So that's how the ISP avoids liability. And then for you or the hotel, to avoid liability in turn, you have to be able to do the same thing that the ISP did, which is to show, our corporation or our hotel did not download this file. It was a user that we provided a service to. And here's the user, here's the date. You'll notice these reports have VLAN in it. A lot of people use that as a room number. So you could even show the specific room number if necessary. So that's what makes this powerful. And then on the other hand, for the CALEA reports, usually what the police or the FBI or whoever's requesting those reports wants is they want all the traffic by a particular user. And again, they could probably, they'll give the hotel the name of the user, and if you can go in and look at that room number, then you can give them a report that shows every web connection that guest made from that room number, for the time that they were checked into the hotel. And that's exactly what they want for CALEA. So just using this system here, you can really easily be 100% compliant and be able to easily provide that information when it's required. So it's definitely a powerful way to have that information at your fingertips.
Yep. And just while we're on this topic, before we go to the questions, a lot of times when we're getting into discussions with people, there's sort of two levels of when you're talking about file sharing and illegal downloads and so forth. First is prevention, trying to prevent it as best you can, and the second is identifying, right, or responding to a warning. So what these reports are going to do is handle the responding part of it. And as Michael mentioned, make sure you can show it was a guest, it wasn't one of your staff members. That's important, and then show that you've removed the offending content. So that's sort of the responding to it. But there's a lot of things, and we had another webinar earlier in the year about actually trying to stop and control file sharing, and that would that comes down to things like bandwidth control, session control, QoS, things like that. That's a whole other topic. We got a lot of information on our website and have a couple recorded webinars about it. So yeah, just to mention that, that's more in the configuration. So what we're talking about here is really identifying this activity. Okay, well, yeah. Anything else, Michael, that we wanted to touch on? Go back to the user report, or anything else in the report portal you think we should mention before we open it up to the questions?
No. I think that pretty much covers it. And certainly, I think that individual customers will have their own uses for this information. So some people may use it for post-paid billing, and some customers may use it to generate reports that can be distributed to hotels. I know some of the hotel specifications for the brands now are starting to require some form of reporting. So some customers may have a requirement to provide reports to individual hotels. But what this really what this hosted tool does is it puts all this information at your fingertips and really allows you to save it and slice and dice it, filter it, export it, without having to either build your own system or worry about having to log in to 15 or 20 units, individually to see what their local reports are, every month or every few weeks. So it's really kind of a powerful way to combine all this information in one place.
Now, one other thing we should mention is within the administration of the report portal. We're logged in here as an administrator with all the rights to see all the sites and so forth. But within the administration, you can set up different user accounts. And for example, we can set up a user here, user 1, where we're basically saying they can only get to certain sites. So if I take a look at that user, I drag and drop all the available sites. So this particular user, this might be, for example, if you're a solution provider and you have lots of different customers, you may want to provide some of your customers, limited access to just their sites. In this case, this user would have access to 6 sites, and they're going to get in, and in terms of the session reports and the connection logs, they're going to see only 6 sites, and that's all they're going to be able to do is go to those 6 sites. But it's a nice service to offer potentially to your customers. And in addition, it shows them that you're actively monitoring these sites. So if you're in the business of providing 7x24 by 365 and you're on monthly contracts, one of the things we feel this can do for you is definitely show your customers that you're providing all the data. You have the data, and you can provide it to them if they want it. If they want to have access to 3 sites to get in there and look at it. So again, that's all within the administration. And then other parts about the administration, it's pretty straightforward. As you can see here, it's pretty easy to get around this interface. You can set up a new site, modify a site, set up email addresses. So it's really straightforward. Working with this interface, and again, setting up accounts. It's all web-based, and just pretty much you can get up to speed very quickly on it. Okay, so I think just to go back to the PowerPoint, and pretty simple PowerPoint today because we wanted to spend time on the actual demonstration. That's our contact information. I'll open it up to questions right now. You can always, we don't take questions on pricing or things like that in the webinar, so if there's any questions like that, you definitely send them to us privately, to email address, or call us afterwards. But definitely any questions, fire away in your chat window there. We'll take them. We'll take them one at a time. Any questions? Or do you see anything, Garrett?
No, not getting anything.
You started the broadcast, no problem?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't see any questions either. No questions. Okay. Okay. Okay, well, I guess that's it then. The chat is working. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So I see that. And I guess that's about it. Then thank you very much for attending, and we will handle any other questions offline after the webinar. Okay, thank you.